are you reading that old book for, Marty? Are you thinking of opening a still somewhere in the Antrim Hills, are you?
I don't, Justin. You think you could do better than this? I mean, look at the state of that. An old milk churn with a bucket. You know, I'd like to think you could do better than that, and they can.
We know a man that's doing better than that. It looks pretty swish, doesn't it?
It does. It looks a little bit different. We're joined by Joe Devenney from the Crolly Distillery down in County Donegal. Joe, welcome.
Gentlemen, how are you? Thank you very much. I see the Donegal poaching book. Maiden Manning wrote a comprehensive book on the Donegal poaching making. It's a thing that I know nothing of. My father, who's still alive, knows nothing of, but we are sixth generation poaching makers.
Sixth generation.
So it's been 180 years since whiskey was last legally produced in Donegal by a man of the name of William Leatham out in Bohillion and Burt. As if you ever take the road from Letterkenny to Derry, you'll see that beautiful red stack halfway. That is the last legal distillery. William Leatham made very fine whiskey, and we hope to continue the style and the tradition of making whiskey. So we being three, Conor McMenamin, Kieran Davis, and myself, we have come together, and we've, for sense or foolishness, we don't know yet, but we have decided to we have been underway since 2018, but way back in the day, in 2013, we started talking about the revival of Irish whiskey.
Yeah.
And considering our position, could we be part of the story? So we approached Údarás na Gaeltachta, which is the enterprise organisation for West Donegal.
Yeah.
And we gave them our notional thought of if they were to renovate what was the former Crolly Doll factory, if they were to renovate that we, from our resources, would put together a distillery. And here we are. We are in production of whiskey at the rate of 10 casks a week. Since last September, October time. With obviously the few teething problems, mostly ironed out now, we believe that we're going to have a very fine product and a very fine sipping whiskey in a short number of years.
So you started, the plan started back in 2013.
Yes.
And carried on through that. So
I want to know how many years before that you were actually thinking about it for, Joe. How many years before 2013?
It was really after a trip to Islay, to the Ilan to the island of Islay in the Hebrides, that I recognised that there was something big happening, and it was driving past the Crolly factory. It just looked like a distillery, but it certainly was influential. The trip to Islay, and Islay is the mecca of whiskey distilleries. It's an island of 3,200 people, but has 10 whiskey distilleries, and it pretty much supports a lot of the local employment. And that's where I'm local to Crolly. I'm from Runnafarshire, just over the road. I have been involved in the Irish language all of my life, yes, you see the Crolly factory there. It's a beautiful image. It's all about doing good for the local area.
No, well, it's whenever you go to Islay, it is very much an eye opener when you see this really quite sparse, populated, the weather's not great, but yet it's a powerhouse.
You were there at the same time as I was, obviously.
No, I've been a couple of times, but it's a real powerhouse of Scottish whiskey. I mean,
It certainly is.
Multi-billion-pound industry, and you have this little rural, remote, the weather being what they call dreich. It's always sort of raining. But it's like the spiritual homeland of a multi-billion-pound industry. So you went to Islay, you came back, you decided, okay, we'll approach this, we'll get the still, we'll have a look at it. How did you get that from the idea to actually starting to put the plan all together to get the vision another step down the road?
Well, we were lucky in that we happened upon a couple of guys that were a few years down the road further ahead of us, and pretty much copied their format. And the format was unique to ourselves. I think we will be the first distillery that has no debt. And that's because we didn't build the building. We leased it from Udras. We bought the equipment from our own resources, and uniquely, and the equipment came from the Cognac region in France. And what we have bought are they're really beautiful. I don't know if you've got an image there, but
we do indeed have an image. This is
it's
very unusual.
like an Aladdin's cave. It's absolutely beautiful craftsmanship. They are ex-brandy, 1956 copper pot stills. So in the furthest of the copper, you'll see that is the actual still. Above my father's head is the pre-warmer, and additive shot is the condenser. Yeah, and we've gone with the direct fired traditional style. It's a real throwback to the olden days. To have direct fired, and you see what looks like the onion bulb and the line arm. That there will create huge amounts of reflux, huge amount of contact with the copper. Only the purest drop. We strip everything off in that onion bowl, and only the purest drop of alcohol will reach across into the condenser. And it's the distillation happens where to distill means to boil, to change from liquid to gas, and to re-bring it. We're re-bringing it back down to the old traditional tub worm condenser. And so we hope and truly do believe that we will have a very, very pure liquid.
Here's one I made earlier.
This is obviously and obviously you don't have the benefit of, but
oh, don't do that, Chris! Don't do that!
It is a beautiful malty, sweet, but very aromatic. And then we have I don't know if you can see that.
Yeah, we can see.
Yeah,
very nice.
That's through a glass. Yeah, it's emblazoned with the Crolly and the gold rim. So
gold rim. Now, you started distilling. Now, to be fair, you guys have kind of went. There's a few people making really big names and making a lot of noise, but you guys have kind of went a little bit under the radar. Was that by choice or by?
Oh, very much by design. Yes.
Yeah.
We probably want to say that we did it rather than we're going to do it.
Right. Good. Yeah.
Is that because you don't want to give people false hope or false promises? You just want to deliver it and that's it, sort of thing, yeah?
Not alone that. We have our tagline, and I don't take away from anybody who's in whatever other space they're in, but we're in the space where if it says Crolly on the bottle, it is Crolly in the bottle. You can trust the authenticity of the product.
Yeah,
its traceability will be from grain to glass, and it's something that we're rather passionate about. And we're not doing this terroir. We don't really know enough about it, but we certainly do know that. And that there photograph you're just after showing up there is actually it is the field which our barley is grown in, and that is William Leatham's farm out in Bohillion, which is where whiskey was last.
The last whiskey,
correct?
Donegal.
Yeah.
Oh, very good.
That's the authenticity of the product.
Now, you are very much in the West Coast. Well, whenever you say the West Coast, you're almost about as west as you can sort of get. The weather up there must be an influence on what's going to happen as well, in terms of storage and maturation.
Yeah. There was a study done way back. I don't know the detail, but they replicated the exact distillation process in the south of France as they had in the Highlands of Scotland, and the whiskey tasted completely different. There's no doubt that the Wild Atlantic Way, which Crolly is on, will have an influence. We're sitting right beneath Grogan Mountain, beneath Errigal. We're going to have a maritime climate for maturation. So I do think it will bear influence, and a very positive influence, I hope.
Yes. Now, your master distiller is a man called Mayo. The Donegal and Mayo have a history. For anyone who's not familiar with this is to do with the GAA and sport. That your master distiller, Dr. Jack Mayo, has a background in astrophysics, which I quite like the idea. There's dark skies down in Donegal as well.
As long as our astrophysicist doesn't blow the whole place.
create a rocket.
As long as you're not Rocket Man. Yes, just come back on your Donegal Mayo connection. My son-in-law is Mayo, so there's obviously there's great crack any time that the two counties meet. But yes, Dr. Jack Mayo, he is an astrophysicist, a master distiller, and has brought in massive insight to our team, and has directed us along the way, and we're certainly very glad to have him. We also have Julio Diana. Julio is Brazilian, and his background is in brewery, the Old Mill Brewery, and in making cachaça, which is a type of mead drink, well consumed in Brazil.
Yeah.
So there you go.
I think I've heard of it before, actually. Yeah.
New to me.
So well, and not be new to you when you come down to see us.
But whenever I come down.
Does he make those lovely sort of things that look like Scotch eggs, but they're actually rice balls covered in sort of breadcrumbs and deep fried? The Brazilians do. They're lovely.
He's actually an accomplished cheesemaker and honey. That's they're his crafts. Yeah.
Hold my keys.
Go on, Justin. No. So you've got an expert team. You've got a beautiful location. You've got a unique wood-fired or flame-fired stills. You seem to have a lot of the right ingredients for people what people would really like. Now, you've only just started, so we're going to have to wait years before your products appear, or before your whiskey appears. But people can buy into it now, can't they?
Yes, we are. Well, we're actually well down the road, but there are a number of founder casks that can be pre-purchased. Yeah. We have, as a nod to William Leatham, it's 180 years since he last produced whiskey, and so we are pre-selling 180 casks of whiskey at the very inviting price of 6,600 euros. You can put your name on a cask, and What it does is it allows our business model. It allows us to raise capital in advance of sales, and it's 3 years from the point of commencement to the point of sale. Before you can sell a whiskey, it's 3 years and 1 day. In Scotland, it's 3 years. In Ireland, it's 3 years and 1 day. I think that was to better the Scotch. I'm not quite sure. But so 180 casks to be pre-sold, and we're down to the last 20-ish. So if there's anybody out there amongst your audience who would like to pursue that, do feel free. Yeah. But not alone are we creating a whiskey distillery, we're also capturing and recording the socio-economic history of the area. The building has been there since 1901. And what we want to do is tell the previous lives. We're merely the custodians of this building. But it initially was a carpet factory. It was an RIC barracks. It was the famous Crolly dolls factory. And it has created a lot of employment, a lot of stories around the place. And we want to tell that history to the future generations.
Now, you're in the Gaeltacht region. You know, for anyone outside of Ireland who doesn't know what that is, it's a region in Ireland that promotes the Irish Gaelic language. I take it that's going to be a feature, a fairly heavy feature in the distillery, the visitors area of it, I would say.
Kinche, Can Gaelic in usage Gafoil, Gawager Siantar. It's mostly an Irish language speaking area. And we want to acknowledge the language. And when you do come and see us, you'll notice that all of the signage, all of the story, Tagacrud, Gaelic, everything is through Irish and bilingual. But yeah, we have it's an important part of our heritage which we want to record.
Good, so it should be. Now, you say you're making 10 barrels a week, so your production figures aren't going to be massive. You know, we're not going to expect massive volumes, obviously. So you're going to rely on visitors. You're going to have to. There's going to be visitors who's going to play a huge part in the story of this. Now, what's your visitor centre going to be like? And can we arrive in the airport down in Carrickfinn and come near you? Because that's beautiful.
Don't be telling people I've got a private
everybody
jet,
knows you're the Playboy jet that parked outside Carrick. Carrickfergus, not Carrickfinn.
Well, would you believe we do have a private jet? Which is a Cessna 120, 1937 heritage two-seater, which Julio, our Brazilian guy, regularly flies. And when you do come into Carrickfinn, you will be able to see our Crolly emblazoned heritage vintage two-seater. And for those select few that want to have a risk going off up in the air, more than welcome. Carrickfinn has to be mentioned as the most scenic, most beautiful airport in the world. It's got that title, and rightly so, because you're coming in over Golan, Torin, coming into Carrickfinn there. It's just absolutely beautiful. We're very proud, obviously, of where we come from. West Donegal is beautiful, and I think that the visitor centre that you draw attention to, it will be a celebration of the music, of the dance, of the storytelling, of all of what the area has to offer. And I think the liquid, the amber gold, and I see you've just thrown up the Crolly bottle and the glass, and on the Crolly River, the waterfall, the Clough William and Chunny, everything the area has to offer. We want to capture and give that experience through the visitor centre. Yes, we will be totally reliant on many visitors coming, and our product is we're going to produce 50,000 litres of pure alcohol, LPAs as it's called, per annum, and which is small, it's scarce, it's rare, but we do believe it will be very well sought after. It will be very credible. It'll be a thing that we want to be proud of, and the Amber Liquid Gold will be there for sipping and for telling many stories, which ties to the area.
Which is what whiskey's for. I keep trying to tell Justin this. It's not for Justin to get drunk and start making bother for people.
Listen, I want to ask you more about these stills, because I've got a better picture of the stills there. That sort of shows it. How does this still differ from other stills there? Talk us through.
Well, what's not in the frame there is all of the brew house. What you're looking at in that picture there is the distillation area. Okay, so we've, prior to coming over to the copper pots, we'll have made our beer. So our beer is at 8 to 9%. It's not a very drinkable beer because it doesn't have hops. But we're not finishing with that product. What we're doing now is we're coming over to the middle, the pre-warmer, and we're then dropping down into the still. And all we're doing, all of the beer is made, all of the whiskey is made in the brew house. All we're doing in this process here is extracting the water. And water boils at 100 degrees, alcohol boils at 78 degrees. So prior to coming to boil point, our alcohol is rising through that line arm, and so and all that's left behind is the water. So all we're doing is condensing down twice. You see that we have the front still and then the back still. By the time it comes to the back still, we're looking at 63.9% alcohol. So they unfortunately, I should have sent through a few more photographs to allow you to see the full process. But when you're coming as visitors, I'll talk you through it. You can do your video and do your...
We'll get... Once we get out of the COVID madness, me and Justin will take a run down and we'll get Julio to pick us up on the plane.
Listen, I'm only coming because I want one of these things. I want one of the Crollies. Look at that there. Yeah. Where would you get that? Where else would you get that? That's fantastic. It's probably worth more than a bottle of whiskey, actually.
Some of them probably are now.
If our whiskey is as successful as the Crolly doll and making her journey around the globe, we'll be very, very happy because the wee Crolly doll is all around the world.
They are indeed. Joe, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and I'm glad that we've moved on from this in Donegal.
Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure, and look forward to seeing you in person.
Listen, take care, and thanks very much.
Garcade me, my gift. Slán.
Slán.
Agus sláinte.